This year had some amazing releases, ranging from multiple genres, with movies like Granturismo, Oppenheimer, and Across the Spider-Verse. However, for myself, the movie that caught me by surprise, and was not even on my radar until the day of release, was Talk to Me. This movie is truly one of my favourite horror/thriller of the past decade. Directed by two up-and-coming Australian filmmakers, Michael and Danny Filippo. I'm sorry about the pronunciation. However, this film had great Australian representation and a great overall storyline, which held my interest from start to finish. They did an amazing job with the casting and the main actress, even with the supporting roles, with beautiful visuals to match a well-written script. It made it an enjoyable edge-of-your-seat experience, with the music and sound design mixing with all those elements I said before was truly an amazing film and experience. Owning it on DVD and rewatching it just makes me love it even more, with the effort and care put into this A24 movie. This is a film which horror and thriller fans alike need to watch ASAP, and one that I think is a little bit underrated and definitely needs the recognition, and it deserves it heavily. This is my favourite film of 2023.
I've enjoyed a plethora of movies this year, but found one of the recent films released to be quite a standout. This is A Haunting in Venice, the third Hercule Poirot film in the series, and based on Agatha Christie's novel Halloween Party. Kenneth Branagh directs this movie, as well as stars as Poirot himself, alongside a cast of Michelle Yeoh, Tina Fey, Jamie Dornan, and Kyle Allen. What I love about this movie is that it feels so different to Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile, while still presenting a straightforward mystery. With the introduction of the supernatural playing a major part in the plot, it really makes the audience question the legitimacy and possibility of it, and therefore adds another element to the story. I'm a sucker for a really good mystery, and although the actual setup of the characters and context felt very slow, the story really gets moving after a certain reveal and doesn't slow down. The movie's only about an hour and a half long, so if you want an easy to watch movie with a little bit of horror and a genuinely interesting mystery, I'd highly recommend this, as I would for all of Branagh's adaptations of the Agatha Christie novels.
Like my fellow PopCultured members, I was lucky enough to watch a wide range of movies released in this past year. While doing this, I have widened past my typical branch of movies, and I am thankful for that. Specifically, one unexpected but phenomenal film I enjoyed was Gran Turismo. This movie was based on a real story of Jan Marinborough, a teenage boy who simply was a player in a game, transformed into a professional racing car driver. This movie encapsulated not only his learning experience, but also his breakdowns in quite an emotional manner. In addition to this, as someone who had also played this game when I was much younger, it was also just simply amazing seeing it brought to the big screen in a form of a movie. I believe that this also helped establish my connection to the movie. Ultimately, although it was not a movie I would have typically watched in the past, Gran Turismo was an incredible experience, and I'm grateful I made the last-minute decision to go watch it.
As I'm sure we've heard 100 times by now, 2023 has been a great year for movies. And that's why it's really difficult for me to choose a favourite one. I'll go through some of my favourites with you and then choose one from those. So obviously some of the big ones we had Across the Spider-Verse and Oppenheimer, really just great movies. There's also a good year for gaming movies, which is unusual. Gaming movies usually suck. But the Super Mario movie and Five Nights at Freddy's were good. Even Dungeons and Dragons, which obviously not a video game, still a game, still good. And I've also chucked on Black Clover, sort of the Wizzy King B, because I'm an anime fan, and that was awesome. But in regards to which one I chose, I had to go with FNAF. And this is just because I really enjoyed it. As a big FNAF fan, a long-time fan of the franchise, it was really fun to watch. Been waiting for it for a while, so it was good to finally get it. I also liked that it was a non-horror horror film, because I hate horror. And going into this, I wasn't really too scared that it would be a scary movie, and it wasn't. It was pretty funny. Everyone knows what scene I'm talking about. That scene. But I also just liked that it was faithful to the game, while also including all the lore in its own way, and I thought that was really cool. So that's why I chose FNAF.
There have been many cinema standouts in 2023, a welcome change from the somewhat lacklustre COVID period of film. To name some of my 2023 favourites, there was the Super Mario movie, Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, and of course, Oppenheimer. Written and directed by Christopher Nolan, Oppenheimer follows the story of Dr. J. Robert Oppenheimer's leadership over the Manhattan Project, the Americans' mission to create a nuclear weapon. In typical Nolan fashion, there are multiple storylines which cleverly weave into a satisfying conclusion. In the case of Oppenheimer, there is the present, filmed in colour, and the future, filmed in black and white, to distinguish it from the other storyline. When the eventual storylines converge, and the future becomes the present, the black and white changes to colour. But what makes this movie so engaging? There are so many factors to consider. The music adding tension and payoff, the writing and acting going hand in hand with a highly talented cast, and the filmmaking, whether it be the previously mentioned colour, camera angles, or special effects, all shaping the narrative and viewing experience in their own way. I find the historical storytelling of this film to be top tier, and I've no doubt viewers left the theatre and went online to find out more, whether about the Manhattan Project itself, Oppenheimer as a person, or the more subtle historical events of the film, including the Spanish Civil War and the Cold War/Red Scare. The reception to this film and its results at the box office are testament to how outstanding this film is, and I'd encourage those who haven't watched it to do so, and to those who have to go and watch it once again.